Hello everyone, this is Rig and today we are going to read about Indus Valley Civilization. Now Indus Valley Civilization is a proto-historic Chalcolithic settlement which appeared in about 3000 BC in the area of northwestern Indian subcontinent, and this is very important because it pushed the Indian history on contemporary lines with the discoveries in Mesopotamia and Egyptian civilization. This is going to be a series of video on Indus Valley Civilization. It may contain 5 or 6 videos, and today our focus will be on the discovery, extent and chronological aspect of Indus Valley Civilization. So let's get into details. Start discoveries before independence. As we know, India got independent on the year in the year 1947. Now before that there were certain discoveries regarding the Indus Valley Civilization. The first discovery was made by C. Mason in 1826. This was just a coincidental discovery and nothing much can be known about it. However, the first mention about Indus Valley as a separate area of archaeological investigation was mentioned by C. Mason. Then came Alexander Cunningham. He was a very prominent archaeologist who visited Harappa in 1853 and 1856. So two times he visited Harappa, and Alexander Cunningham's archaeological practices are highly controversial, but no doubt that he was the first one to look into details about Indus Valley Civilization. However, his assumptions were very wrong because he projected Indus Valley to be a Buddhist site and placed it on the account of Huyen Sang. He tried to relate it with the sites mentioned in the account of Huyen Sang, a Chinese traveler at the time of Harshavardhan. The Harappan seals were first published by J.F. M.L. James and J.F. Flitt. So this was for the first time we get archaeological artifactual discovery, and those seals pictures were taken and it was published by M.L. James and J.F. Flitt. Railway line in Sindh. So Sindh is a province in the northwestern part of Indian subcontinent, and when railway line was being constructed during the colonial period, during the period of British Empire in India, the railway lines hit quite a number of Indus artifacts, Harappan artifacts, and many of the bricks from the sites were also used in railway lines. People did not have any idea about the significance or importance of those artifacts, so they used it in their construction works of railway lines. Later, John Marshall, who was the Director General of ASI means Archaeological Survey of India, discovered properly the significance of Indus Valley Civilization with his associates like M.S. Watts, and his discovery pushed forward Indian history up to 300 years back 3000 years back, sorry. And that was on contemporary line with the discoveries in Mesopotamian civilization and Egyptian. Daram Sahani, one of the famous Indian archaeologists, excavated the the site of Harappa in 1921, and R.D. Banerjee, Rakhaldas Banerjee, discovered Mohenjo-daro in 1922. These are the most important two of the most important sites in Indus Valley Civilization, and the first one, Harappa, was excavated by Dayaram Sahani in 1921, and second one, Mohenjo-daro, was discovered by R.D. Banerjee in 1922. Marshall then announced the discovery in London Weekly in 1924, and this created quite a ruckus in the British environment, because people had an idea that Indus Valley civilization or India is not a very old country. Now, when this Indus Valley civilization, the discovery of Harappa, Mohenjo-daro, was published in London Weekly in 1924, it placed India on par with Mesopotamia and Egypt, which was highly significant considering the Britishers underestimated Indian history always. Now, what happened after independence? After independence, the site of Indus Valley civilization was divided between India and Pakistan. The major sites of Harappa and Mohenjo-daro went to Pakistan. Now, the discoveries were done both in India and Pakistan. So nearly 1500 sites of Indus Valley were found in both the countries. Around 220 sites belong to mature Harappan period. Now, Harappan civilization or Indus Valley civilization has been categorized into phases. The first phase is the early Harappan phase, second phase is the matured Harappan phase, and the last phase is the late Harappan phase. So mature Harappan phase is the time when the whole civilization was at the epitome of their technical advancement, and around 220 sites of matured Harappan phase have been found in both the countries. Recent excavations were done in Dholavira by R.S. Visht. Dholavira is also a site in Gujarat which has been in United Nations World Heritage Sites list, recently added. So that was the most recent prominent excavation done by R.S. Visht. A. Ghosh, which is Amalalanda Ghosh, excavated the dried up river Saraswati, which is also called Ghaggar Hakra Basin, and the North Rajasthan, and discovered about 25 sites. So, ancient river of named as Saraswati used to flow just beside Indus, and now that river is dried up. The dried up bed has been excavated. The dried up bed of the river has been excavated by Amalananda Ghosh, and 25 sites were discovered in northern part of Rajasthan. Suraj Bhan discovered important sites like Banwali, Rakhigari and Mitathal. S.R. Rao discovered about 190 sites in Gujarat alone. So these are very important discoveries in Indian part of Indus Valley civilization after independence. Y.D. Sharma explored many sites in Punjab, and important discoveries were also made in Pakistan and Afghanistan. A few fragments of Indus Valley civilization, especially in the northwestern part, were also found in Afghanistan. So these were also discovered after the independence of India. Naushado was excavated by Jean-Francois Jarige in 1993. This was a French archaeologist who discovered Naushado, the site of Naushado. Now, the transitional phase from early to matured Harappa was noticed in Amri by Kassel in 1964. So J.M. Kassel is a very famous archaeologist. Now, as I have said that the Indus Valley civilization has been divided into early, mature and late Harappan phases. Now there are a few sites where the transition or the technological advancement from the early to mature Harappan phase can be noticed, and Amri is one such site. This was discovered by Kassel in 1964. M.R. Mughal, Muhammad Rafiq Mughal also discussed a lot about transitional phase. This is Rafiq Mughal is a very respected and famous archaeologist from Pakistan. Phase Service investigated the man-land ratio. Man-land ratio is about utilization of resources in the area. So this was investigated by archaeologist Phase Service. Lesnick studied the land use patterns. How the land was used for their maximum utilization was studied by Lesnick. Hedge and Miller investigated the technological advancement in the field of metals or metallurgy, how the alloys were made and how they were polished into fine tools. Now, most of the alloys or the metallurgy during this time consisted of copper, and a fragment of artifacts also had tin alloy in it. So, since it was a Chalcolithic settlement, a huge investigation needed to be done on the field of metallurgy, and Hedge and Miller were the two prominent archaeologists who did that. Fentress addressed the similarities in artifacts. Now, when different sites in different parts of a settlement are contemporary to each other, their contemporary nature can be noticed in the artifacts which they used. So, if the artifacts from different sites are similar, that means they had connection or communication in between them. This was addressed by Fentress. Now, extent. How big was Indus Valley Civilization? As you can see in this map, this was spread in the centering the Indus River and its tributaries. Just on the right side of Indus River, you can see the Ghaggar Hakra River, which is also the ancient river of Saraswati. Now, all this together made up a fertile land which was utilized by the people in around 3000 BC to make the Harappan civilization or Indus Valley civilization. Currently, it is spread in both India and Pakistan. The central zone lies in Sindh and Punjab. Now, the Sindh province of Pakistan and Punjab province of Pakistan and India together make up the central part of Indus Valley civilization. This covers an area of Punjab, Sindh, Haryana, Balochistan, Gujarat, Rajasthan, western Uttar Pradesh and northern Maharashtra. So, northern Maharashtra is the southernmost extent, western Uttar Pradesh is the easternmost extent, and there we go up to Balochistan near the Afghanistan border, and also in the north we find Indus Valley fragments or Indus Valley evidence up to Punjab. So, this is the total extent of the Indus Valley civilization. Shutka Gendor on the seaboard of southern Balochistan, which is in the Makran coast, to Alamgirpur in upper Ganga Yamuna Doab is the east-west extent of Indus Valley civilization. This is almost from Afghanistan to western Uttar Pradesh. Manda in Jammu. So we find evidence of Indus Valley artifacts in Jammu Kashmir also, which is the northernmost extent, and Vagatrav in Narmada estuary, which is in northern part of Maharashtra, is the southernmost extent. So this is the total extent of Indus Valley civilization, with Sutka Gendor in the extreme west and Alamgirpur in the extreme east, Jammu Manda in the extreme north, and Vagatrab in the extreme south. Daimabad located on the bank of Pravara. Now, Daimabad is a site which is located on the southern part of India on Deccan Plateau, and it is situated on the bank of river Pravara. Now, after the discovery of Daimabad, it has been assumed that there was a Harappan phase in the cultural layers of Daimabad also. So this pushes forward the boundary of Indus Valley civilization a lot more southern into a lot more southern part of India. Now this is the area. The entire area is triangular and has an area of 12,99,600 square kilometer. So this is the entire area extent of Indus Valley civilization in square kilometers. The north-south extent is around 11,000 kilometer. That means from Manda to upper part of Maharashtra. The east-west extent from the Makran coast to Alamgirpur in UP, it is around 1550 km. Gregory and Poschel pushed the northern limit to Amu Darya in Afghanistan. Now, Amu Darya is a controversial site because few of the archaeologists say it to be an Indus Valley site, whereas few consider it to be a satellite site of Indus Valley civilization, and few don't consider it to be a Indus site at all. So, Amu Darya, according to Gregory Poschel, it is the northernmost boundary of Indus Valley civilization. That means it is if you see latitudinally, it is above Jammu Kashmir also. Now, chronology. What are the important dates regarding the Indus Valley civilization? Now, before going into details about chronology, we must understand the fact that the whole of Indus Valley civilization did not develop suddenly altogether. It had started from the Neolithic site in Mehergarh and then developed into Chalcolithic sites, first as early Harappan phase sites, and then it converted into mature Harappan phase. Now, few parts of Gujarat has late Harappan phase only, whereas few sites have early Harappan phase only, and there are a few sites which show chronological layers dating from mature Harappan, dating from early Harappan sites up to late Harappan site. Hence, the dates from different sites vary from each other. Marshall excavated and estimated the period to be around 3250 to 2750 BC. Mackay gave 300 years of life to Mohenjo-daro. He said that the site of Mohenjo-daro at its zenith was only for 300 years, and this time period was during 2800 BC to 2500 BC. Later, M.S. Wirtz said that the time range of Mohenjo-daro was around 3500 to 2500 BC. C.J. Gutz, based on seals found in Mesopotamia, said that Indus Valley civilization dated from 2350 BC to 1770 BC. This was a much later date and has been rejected by many of the other archaeologists. Stuart Pigott and S.M. Wheeler suggested that the overall span of Indus Valley civilization was from 2500 to 1500 BC. Wheeler later said that it extended up to 1700 BC as the end of IVC. So Wheeler later corrected the date of Stuart Pigott and said that it was not 1500 BC when the Indus Valley civilization ended, but it was 1700 BC when the later Harappan phase came to an end. Albright in 1955 said that IVC concluded, or Indus Valley civilization concluded, in around 1750 BC. By radiocarbon dating, in the findings of Quetta Valley, Fair Service said that Indus Valley civilization flourished in between 2000 to 1500 BC, which was a much later date given according to the research in Quetta Valley by Fair Service, and this date was done according to the findings of radiocarbon dating process. D.P. Agrawal concluded that the Indus Valley civilization ranged in between 2300 to 1750 BC. Later on, Dales adjusted the dates to 2900 to 1900 BC. Now, as the research progressed, we find Robert J. Brunswick said that he divided, this was the first time we get phase divisions in Indus Valley, and he said that the early phase of Indus Valley civilization ranged from 2800 to 2500 BC. That means the early phase was for 300 years. The matured phase, the time when Indus Valley was at its peak, ranged from 2500 to 2200 BC. This was again for 300 years. The late phase, which was the end or disintegration of Indus Valley Civilization, ranged from 2200 to 2000 BC. Now, this was the range of dates of the three phases given by Robert H. Brunswick. J.P. Joshi said that the first phase ranged from 2480 to 2300 BC, second phase from 2290 to 2140 BC, and third phase 2130 to 2020 BC. Now, this was a much later date given by J.P. Joshi and has been rejected by most of the contemporary archaeologists then. Rafiq Mughal said that the beginning happened in around 3500 to 3400 BC. The second beginning happened in around 3000 to 2900 BC. Now, he said that the Indus Valley did not happen by chance suddenly. There was phases of the beginning. So the first settlement process occurred in 3500 BC, and the second happened in around 3000 to 2900 BC. And he also said, Rafiq Mughal also said that the core trends of urban revolution, there are a few points to be remembered when we give a settlement the nature of urban or rural. Now, the trends of urban civilization was already present before 3000 BC according to Rafiq Mughal. So this was all about the dating process of Indus Valley Civilization, its discovery and the area extent. Now, in our next videos we will go into details about the phases, town planning, art and culture, trade, society about Indus Valley Civilization. So this was just the first part. Please wait until you see all the 4 or 5 videos that I will make on Indus Valley Civilization, and support me so that I bring brighter contents in future. Thank you so much.